You ever have one of those mornings that makes you question everything you thought you had under control? That was me, right at 7:42 a.m., sitting in my meticulously organized home office, a place designed to keep out anything unpredictable, especially the messy, unpredictable reality of life itself. I was halfway through a video call with investors in Tokyo, the numbers looking good, my voice crisp and calculated, when I heard a gentle knock on my door. Now, that may not sound like much, but in my world, nothing, absolutely nothing interrupts business hours. I ignored it, of course, but then the door opened. In walked Ruby, my housekeeper Maria's daughter, clutching her backpack, eyes wide as if she was about to be sent to the moon. She just stood there and asked, "Can I borrow a suitcase? I need to go far away, but only by myself." That's how my perfectly orchestrated morning shattered, just like that. The investors on my screen kept talking, but I'd already checked out, staring at this 8-year-old kid who, by all rights, shouldn't have been in my house, not in my office, not in my careful little world. I ended the call $1 million deal or not. I just shut it down. "What did you say?" I asked, and I could hear how sharp my voice was. Ruby, though, she didn't flinch. She repeated it, steadier this time. "I want to leave before Mom gets fired." Let me back up a sec. Maria, her mom, had worked for me 2 years, invisible, efficient, never a distraction. The kind of employee who made everything easier just by not being noticed. But I'd always made it clear, I don't do distractions, and especially not kids. Now, here was Ruby, bracing herself like a tiny adult who'd seen too much, just asking for a suitcase so she wouldn't be the reason her mom lost another job. She said she'd overheard her mom crying, worried about being let go, about neighbors complaining there were kids in the house. That landed harder than anything anyone's thrown at me in years. So, against every instinct I had, I told her to wait. I went upstairs, past boxes labeled in my late wife Catherine's handwriting, baby clothes, nursery decorations, memories for a child who never arrived. There was, in the back, the little blue suitcase Catherine bought when she was 7 months pregnant. I tried to get rid of it a dozen times, but never could. I brought it down and handed it to Ruby, who asked, "Are you sure you want to let me borrow it?" And let me tell you, that hit different. Here she was, planning her escape so her mother wouldn't lose another thing, showing more maturity than most adults I know. She took the suitcase and thanked me, said she'd take good care of it. She walked out of my office, and I just watched, unable to find words to stop her, to offer something better. The rest of the day, my mind was nowhere near quarterly reports. I listened for sound from the kitchen, from Maria and Ruby, but the house felt heavier, emptier. It's funny, the very thing I'd worked so hard to achieve, absolute control, suddenly felt like a prison. That night, I heard Ruby tell her mom good night, staying in the guest room like she did every weekend when Maria worked late. I stood in the window, staring out at the garden Catherine had planned, thinking about everything I'd pushed out of my life: children, laughter, hope. When did I become the guy who saw kids as a threat, not a promise? It was exactly 3 years, 2 months, and 16 days ago the day a doctor told me our baby would never take a breath, and a whole life disappeared before it began. After that, I learned that hope was dangerous, that the safest way to live was to want nothing. The next morning, the house was still, holding its breath, it seemed. I went to the front door, not the office, and there was a little blue suitcase back on my doormat, heavier than before. I opened it, worried and curious, and inside were 3 things: a drawing of a family with a fuzzy-faced man holding an open suitcase, a chocolate chip cookie wrapped with the words "for sad times," and a note in careful, childish print. That note nearly brought me to my knees. Ruby wrote, "I'm not going away anymore, because Mom explained sometimes grown-ups say things when they're scared they don't mean. She said you lost someone, and that's why you like your house quiet. Grief makes people build walls, but sometimes those walls keep the good things out too. I put things in your suitcase because you need them more than I do. The cookie is for sad times. The drawing is my family, but you're in it too. I wasn't sure what you looked like when you're happy, so I left it fuzzy. I hope you don't mind I used your suitcase backwards. Instead of packing things to leave, I packed things to keep." I sat there on the steps, shaking, cried for the first time in 3 years, realizing I'd been the one running away, building walls so high nothing could get in. But Ruby, 8-year-old Ruby, she'd seen right through all that. Later, Maria found me. She apologized for Ruby, worried about her job. But I stopped her. I told her the truth. She saved my life. And that was no exaggeration. I asked Maria, why bring Ruby on weekends? Why risk it? She said Ruby wanted to see what different families looked like, especially after her own dad left. She'd been studying me, watching, asking Maria why I looked sad. This kid, quietly learning about family in the one place, I thought I'd successfully shut everyone out. I went to the kitchen. Ruby was there, eating cereal, reading about ocean animals. I sat down and asked, why'd you change your mind about leaving? She smiled and said, Mom said sometimes when people lose someone, they think the only way to stay safe is to not love anyone else. But that's like putting your heart in a suitcase and burying it. Maybe you weren't mean. Maybe you were just scared. And if you were scared, maybe what you needed was someone to help you dig up your heart again. I told her I didn't want her to go. I wanted her and Maria to stay permanently. Not as employees, but as the family this house was always meant to have. Ruby's eyes went wide. Maria cried and smiled. And for the first time in 3 years, I smiled too, genuinely. We made that guest room a real room for Ruby. She hung her drawings on the wall, including one with the words, some suitcases are for leaving. Some suitcases are for keeping. The best suitcases are for sharing. This is our suitcase. It holds everything we don't want to lose. Maria relaxed. Ruby filled the house with questions and laughter and chaos, and it was wonderful. A few months later, after a story about us made the rounds at Ruby's school, I found myself helping start a program to offer homes to families in crisis because, as Ruby's teacher put it, sometimes kids lead adults toward solutions we never would have tried. And Ruby? She planned bunk beds for new kids, big sister skills, art projects to make everyone feel welcome. She'd learned and taught me that family isn't about blood or perfect circumstances or magazine covers. It's about people choosing to care for each other, especially when it's messy. Standing in Catherine's garden, I watched Ruby water her flowers, planning for new brothers and sisters. She told me, when you plant love, it grows new flowers, even in places you never expected. And she was right. The more love we shared, the more family we became, the more our Hamimi heart grew. So, if you've carried your own suitcase too long, believing it was only for packing up and running away, maybe it's time to turn it around. To see what's worth keeping, to share the weight, to find family in the most unexpected places. That's what Ruby taught me, and I'd love to hear what you think. Drop a comment below. Let's talk about what makes a family, about healing, about why sometimes the bravest thing you can do is choose to stay. If you felt this story, like and share it, and join us for more real stories because, honestly, aren't we all just looking for someone to help us unpack? Yeah, that happened, and it changed everything.